Me and Miss Mandible by Donald Barthleme. 13 September. Miss Mandible wants to make love to me, but she hesitates because I am officially a child. I am, according to the records, according to the gradebook on her desk, according to the card index in the principal's office, 11 years old. There is a misconception here, one that I haven't quite managed to get cleared up yet. I am in fact 35, I've been in the Army, I am 6'1", I have hair in the appropriate places, my voice is a baritone. I know very well what to do with Miss Mandible if she ever makes up her mind. In the meantime, we are studying common fractions. I could, of course, answer all the questions, or at least most of them. There are things I don't remember. But I prefer to sit in this too small seat with the desktop cramping my thighs and examine the life around me. There are 32 in the class, which is launched every morning with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. My own allegiance at the moment is divided between Miss Mandible and Sue Ann Brownlee, who sits across the aisle from me all day long and is, like Miss Mandible, a fool for love. Of the two, I prefer today Sue Ann, although between 11 and 11.5 she refuses to reveal her exact age. She is clearly a woman, with a woman's disguised aggression and a woman's peculiar contradictions. 15 September. Happily, our geography text, which contains maps of all the principal land masses of the world, is large enough to conceal my clandestine journal keeping, accomplished in an ordinary black composition book. Every day I must wait until geography to put down such thoughts as I may have had during the morning about my situation and my fellows. I have tried writing at other times and it does not work. Either the teacher is walking up and down the aisles. During this period, luckily, she sticks close to the map rack in the front of the room. Or Bobby Vanderbilt, who sits behind me, is punching me in the kidneys and wanting to know what I am doing. Vanderbilt, I have found out from certain desultory conversations on the playground, is hung up on sports cars, a veteran consumer of road and track. This explains the continual roaring sounds which seem to emanate from his desk. He is reproducing a record album called Sounds of Sebring. 19 September. Only I, at times, only at times, understand that somehow a mistake has been made, that I am in a place where I don't belong. It may be that Miss Mandible also knows this at some level, but for reasons not fully understood by me, she is going along with the game. When I was first assigned to this room, I wanted to protest. The error seemed obvious. The stupidest principal could have seen it. But I have come to believe it was deliberate, that I have been betrayed again. Now it seems to make little difference. This life role is as interesting as my former life role, which was that of a claims adjuster for the Great Northern Insurance Company, a position which compelled me to spend my time amid the debris of our civilization. Rumpled fenders, roofless sheds, gutted warehouses, smashed arms and legs. After 10 years of this, one has a tendency to see the world as a vast junkyard, looking at a man and seeing only his potentially mangled parts, entering a house only to trace the path of the inevitable fire. Therefore, when I was installed here, although I knew an error had been made, I countenanced it. I was shrewd. I was aware that there might well be some kind of advantage to be gained from what seemed a disaster. The role of adjuster teaches one much. 22 September. I am being solicited for the volleyball team. I decline, refusing to take unfair profit from my height. 23 September. Every morning the roll is called. Bestvina, Bokenfor, Broan, Brownlee, Cohn, Coyle, Cresselius, Darren, Durbin, Geiger, Geiswhite, Heckler, Jacobs, Kleinschmidt, Lay, Logan, Massey, Mitgang, Phil Sticker. It is like the litany chanted in the dim, miserable dawns of Texas by the cadre sergeant of our basic training company. In the Army, too, I was ever so slightly awry. It took me a fantastically long time to realize what the others grasped almost at once, that much of what we were doing was absolutely pointless, to no purpose. I kept wondering why. Then something happened that proposed a new question. One day we were commanded to whitewash, from the ground to the topmost leaves, all of the trees in our training area. The corporal who relayed the order was nervous and apologetic. Later an off-duty captain sauntered by and watched us, white-splashed and totally weary, strung out among the freakish shapes we had created. He walked away swearing, I understood the principle, orders are orders, but I wondered, who decides? 29 September. Sue Ann is a wonder. Yesterday she viciously kicked my ankle for not paying attention when she was attempting to pass me a note during history. It is swollen still, but Miss Mandible was watching me. There was nothing I could do. Oddly enough, Sue Ann reminds me of the wife I had in my former role, while Miss Mandible seems to be a child. She watches me constantly, trying to keep sexual significance out of her look. I am afraid the other children have noticed. I have already heard, on that ghostly frequency that is the medium of classroom communication, the words, "teacher's pet." 2 October. Sometimes I speculate on the exact nature of the conspiracy which brought me here. At times I believe it was instigated by my wife of former days, whose name was... I am only pretending to forget. I know her name very well as I know the name of my former motor oil, Quaker State, or my old Army serial number, US 541-09268. Her name was Brenda. 7 October. Today I tiptoed up to Miss Mandible's desk, when there was no one else in the room, and examined its surface. Miss Mandible is a clean desk teacher, I discovered. There was nothing except her grade book, the one in which I exist as a 6th grader, and a text which was open at a page headed "Making the Process Meaningful." I read, "Many pupils enjoy working fractions when they understand what they are doing. They have confidence in their ability to take the right steps and to obtain correct answers. However, to give the subject full social significance, it is necessary that many realistic situations requiring the processes be found. Many interesting and lifelike problems involving the use of fractions should be solved." 8 October. I am not irritated by the feeling of having been through all this before. Things are done differently now. The children, moreover, are in some ways different from those who accompanied me on my first voyage through the elementary schools. They have confidence in their ability to take the right steps and to obtain correct answers. This is surely true. When Bobby Vanderbilt, who sits behind me and has the great tactical advantage of being able to maneuver in my disproportionate shadow, wishes to bust a classmate in the mouth, he first asks Miss Mandible to lower the blind, saying that the sun hurts his eyes. When she does so, bip! My generation would never have been able to con authority so easily. 13 October. I misread a clue. Do not misunderstand me. It was a tragedy only from the point of view of the authorities. I conceived that it was my duty to obtain satisfaction for the injured, for an elderly lady, not even one of our policy holders, but a claimant against Big Ben Transfer and Storage Incorporated, from the company. The settlement was $165,000. The claim, I still believe, was just, but without my encouragement, Mrs. Bishek would never have had the self-love to prize her injury so highly. The company paid, but its faith in me, in my efficacy in the role, was broken. Henry Goodykind, the district manager, expressed this thought in a few not altogether unsympathetic words, and told me at the same time that I was to have a new role. The next thing I knew, I was here, at Horace Greeley Elementary, under the lubricious eye of Miss Mandible. 17 October. Today we are to have a fire drill. I know this because I am a fire marshal, not only for our room, but for the entire right wing of the second floor. This distinction, which was awarded shortly after my arrival, is interpreted by some as another mark of my somewhat dubious relations with our teacher. My armband, which is red and decorated with white felt letters reading "Fire," sits on the little shelf under my desk, next to the brown paper bag containing the lunch I carefully make for myself each morning. One of the advantages of packing my own lunch, I have no one to pack it for me, is that I am able to fill it with things I enjoy. The peanut butter sandwiches that my mother made in my former existence many years ago have been banished in favor of ham and cheese. I have found that my diet has mysteriously adjusted to my new situation. I no longer drink, for instance, and when I smoke, it is in the boys' john like everybody else. When school is out, I hardly smoke at all. It is only in the matter of sex that I feel my own true age. This is apparently something that, once learned, can never be forgotten. I live in fear that Miss Mandible will one day keep me after school, and when we are alone, create a compromising situation. To avoid this, I have become a model pupil, another reason for the pronounced dislike I have encountered in certain quarters. But I cannot deny that I am singed by those long glances from the vicinity of the chalkboard. Miss Mandible is in many ways, notably about the bust, a very tasty piece. 24 October. There are isolated challenges to my largeness, to my dimly realized position in the class as Gulliver. Most of my classmates are polite about this matter, as they would be if I had only one eye, or wasted, metal-wrapped legs. I am viewed as a mutation of some sort, but essentially a peer. However, Harry Brone, whose father has made himself rich manufacturing the Brone bathroom vent, with which Harry is frequently reproached, he is always being asked how things are in Ventsville, today inquired if I wanted to fight. An interested group of his followers had gathered to observe this suicidal undertaking. I replied that I didn't quite feel up to it, for which he was obviously grateful. We are now friends forever. He has given me to understand privately that he can get me all the bathroom vents I will ever need at a ridiculously modest figure. 25 October. Many interesting and lifelike problems involving the use of fractions should be solved. The theorists fail to realize that everything that is either interesting or lifelike in the classroom proceeds from what they would probably call interpersonal relations. Sue Ann Brownlee kicking me in the ankle. How lifelike, how womanlike is her tender solicitude after the deed. Her pride in my newly acquired limp is transparent. Everyone knows that she has set her mark upon me, that it is a victory in her unequal struggle with Miss Mandible for my great overgrown heart. Even Miss Mandible knows, and counters in perhaps the only way she can with sarcasm. "Are you wounded, Joseph?" Conflagrations smolder behind her eyelids. Yearning for the fire marshal clouds her eyes. I mumble that I have bumped my leg.